Here we are, hopefully for the last go round of looking at how to run a wrestling tournament using Friehauf's wrestling tourney software. Hopefully you'll gain some insight in how to run a wrestling tournament, and maybe you'll take a look at this through souffle.com. We're in the scoring, so we're entering. We've already entered results. We've gone through the first two rounds, and actually at this point I just have a couple of features that you need to see. Because you're going to be going through this whole tournament. You're just going to add more bout sheets, add more bout results until you get done with the tournament. At that point, you're going to do some particular printing. You should be doing printing as you go along. But there's a couple of features you should be aware of. First feature is on the scoring options is to change bout results. Now, if you want to change bout results, all you have to do is put a minus sign in front of the bout number. So we're going to go to negative 162 and enter that bout result. There's two reasons why I'm going here. First of all, you want to change the results. Yes, okay. Enter the bout number and to enter the results. So it's already set up for you. This showed you what it was, and it was Terrence Hampton by default over George Stoyanov. But we're going to enter this again because I want to show you something. Here, these were from the same team. Some places they don't want wrestlers from the same team to wrestle until they get into the scoring situation in the placing. So there's a way that you can do that, which I think I talked about earlier in the options here to resolve pairing conflicts. So we could actually put in the bouts I want to change. I've already done it, entered the bout results, so I can't do 161 and 162 and then change maybe these two wrestlers. And then execute the pairing, and then the next time I see the pairing, it's different people. Here it shows the pairing conflicts, the conflicts from the teams, and here's the re-wrestles. There shouldn't be any re-wrestles at this point. So that's what we could do to change that if you're from Oregon and they do that. We don't particularly do that in the state of Washington. So we will wrestle these two, but we want to have a good match. So to have a good match, what we end up doing is saying, okay, it doesn't matter whether the non-scorer or the scorer wins, we're going to give you maximum points. To do that, the score was 9-8. So what we did is we put a D period in front of that, so it scored it like a default, which gives the team 2 team points for the default, and in this case they get 2 more points for advancement, and they'll get 3 points for 6th place. So you'll notice when I hit enter, Lincoln will go from 51.5 to 58.5. Now, it could have been that Stoyanov won, in which case number 1 wins. This would swap the non-scorer and the scorer, and the non-scorer would continue to be the scorer from there on out. If your SOP of your tournament says you don't do that, then you can cancel that swap, and the non-scorer will not become the scorer. So in this particular case, the scorer won, so it really doesn't matter. I'm going to hit enter for that bout results, and you'll notice the score went up. That's how you change bout results, by putting a negative number, and that's what may happen when we have same teams wrestling. If you don't put the D in front of it, they just get the regular points. Next thing, how do you change team scores? So you've got a coach that said something he shouldn't have done. So what we want to do is we want to deduct team points. So in this particular case, we're going to deduct 1 team point from the coach. We select the team. Let's say it was the Adams team. And Adams right now, if you look over there, has 79 points, and you can also see it on the top 10. So we want to deduct 1 team point. So we put a 1 in there, apply the change. They now have 78. And then we found out, it wasn't the coach, it was the wrestler that had his straps down, and he pinned the kid. So we can take points away from his particular array location. So how do you get the point back to the team and then change the deduction to the team array? Well, that's easy, because you know that your math teacher told you if you add a negative, if you subtract a negative, because you're deducting a negative 1 points, it'd be the same thing as adding a positive. So we just apply the change, and now they have 79 points. I'm going to change that to 0 just so that I don't get confused later. Now, I go up here to weight team array, and I want to change the 106 Adams wrestlers team points. So I go select team, Adams, I go select weight, 106, and it shows him having 19 points. So I want to deduct 1 team point from him, so I go up here, change that to 1 team point, apply the change, and now the team has 78. So it does the correction for that, and we're done. We get out of there before we apply change and keep subtracting more points from that 106 wrestler. At this particular instance, you can go and print the team scores, and we will then apply print and say no and no, and you can see now he has 18 points instead of 9, and of course they're down to 78. This is something, again, when you do team points, and at the end of the tournament you're going to do this. You can print this out, and you can also create the HTML, and this is what the state of Washington actually puts on their website for the state tournament. And you can see their team placers there. They only print the placers. The HTML only prints the totals. It doesn't print this array. We usually print both of these out and give them to the coaches as they leave after the first day so they can check out the scores and see if there's any changes. The other thing that you'll probably print out at the end of the first day, along with all the brackets, and get your bout sheets ready for the next day, your announcers list, team scores. Another thing that we can do is who's left by team or weight. This is used to actually print out lists for the referees on the next day's weigh-in. So we've got one weight set up, all teams, to the screen after about 224, and we go ahead and we want to change that to select 106 and apply print. So here's 106. The first 8 wrestlers are in the consolations. The last 4 wrestlers are in the semifinals. And the official can go ahead and just put the weight in front of that or behind it or wherever they want to put it. This is nice so that the coaches can look at the weights and put them down on their weighing sheets that they have to do for the nationals. Anyway, at this point, we can print out those. Just change your weight class and just keep printing those out, and you can see all of them as they go. And of course, there is the bye that was left in that particular weight class. We have everything here resolved. We've talked about that. Printing options, one last thing, you might want to do the finalists bouts. And this has a most pins and the quickest pins option in here. We can look at that. You can get the most pins. We want all weights, and we want to do most pins for all wrestlers. And at this point, this would tell you how many pins different wrestlers have at different weights and what their total time is, and then the best at the bottom. Later, you can get the champions most pins when the champions are already done. And the quickest pin. If we do quickest pin, you'll see the quickest pins for all the weights, and here's the quickest pin in the tournament so far, 33 seconds. So this is kind of a nice thing. If you just print here, what this will do is it will print how the finalists got to the finals. We don't have any finals, so there's nothing it's going to print. So if I print all weights and apply to the printer, it's going to do that for me. Here it just prints those quickest pins and does it automatically. Here is where you print that information to maybe a TV station that's running your brackets, or showing your finals. They want to print out what happened, how the wrestler got to the finals. These are pretty much all that you've got to know for this whole tournament scoring. I'm glad you had a chance to look at this to see how this program runs. If you're interested, it's at souffle.com. These tournament programs have run since 1999, have run the state wrestling championships in Washington and a few other states. The program ran the Washington tournament in 1990 with a DOS version of the same thing. I'm glad you had a chance to look at this, and I hope this helped you run your tournament a little bit better. Thank you.